nearly $76 billion in revenue, more than $18 billion in profit, both up by 2%.
However, growth was slow, with iPhone sales barely beating last year's numbers. Apple predicts sales in the current quarter will fall for the first time in 13 years.
Fitz Tepper, a writer at TechCrunch, joins us now with more on Apple's report. I'd like to say thank you for getting the memo about exactly what to be wearing.
It was last minute. I got it.
Well done, excellent. Well done on that one.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, great to see you. Hey, look, it's a strange day, isn't it, when a company posts the biggest quarterly profit in US history and everyone says, well, there's trouble, isn't there? This isn't so great.
It's
so what's
interesting.
going on?
It's only Apple. That could only happen to Apple. So what happens is that, number one, Apple, they're kind of matching year-ago quarter earnings. You know, they made 75, 76 billion both times, and iPhone sales are flat from last Christmas quarter, which is okay. But I mean, it shows that, you know, growth is slowing down. This is an explosive company that has been growing tremendously year over year, and you know, it's time for that to slow down, and I think that's scaring people. They don't really understand it.
Well, the iPhone is Apple's main engine for growth, so the question is, if the sales are slowing down, what does it mean for Apple's future?
So Tim Cook said for the first time ever that next quarter's iPhone sales will be lower than the year before quarter, and what I think it means is that, you know, the Apple can't live off the iPhone anymore. The other issue is Apple releases a new iPhone basically every 2 years. They release a little increment every year, but mainly every 2 years. And a statistic that really astonished me is that Tim Cook said that 60% of people who bought the iPhone 5 have not yet upgraded over the past 2 years, which means there's a huge potential for growth when Apple changes the phone.
Who's eating Apple's lunch here?
You know, people not buying the new phone, basically. These people aren't buying Samsungs, they're not buying Androids, you know.
They're just not buying, period?
They're just not buying the new phone, and it's because, you know, the iPhones look like this for the last 2 years, and no one cares if it changes a bit inside. They want a new-looking phone. If Apple changed this every year, you know, people would buy it. So I think that's the issue for them right now.
And then we noticed that the Mac is down as well. I mean, they're having problems. It's beyond the iPhone, though.
It is, and what people need to understand is that Apple is becoming, you know, a reliable, sustainable company. They're not a growth company anymore. You know, they're issuing a dividend every quarter, they're doing buybacks, they're becoming a Microsoft, they're becoming a reliable company, not a company that's going to grow 20% every year. And that's a good thing because companies can't grow 20% every year forever. I mean, we saw what happened to Enron. It's just not possible.
One thing which kept Apple's numbers up was the growth in China. They had a good sales period in China. But is that the strategy here? Go find new customers in these emerging markets, head off to South America, India, China to try and basically make up for a lack of sales in places like the United States? Or do they go the other way? Do they start saying, okay, it's time to develop new technology? I mean, they haven't really brought out anything good for a while. I mean, there's, you know...
Well, the Apple Watch came out.
Well, so lame. I mean, seriously.
Yes, but that's not the point. They did actually innovate and create something.
Yeah, but it was lame. But you see,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And listen, I
like
think
virtual reality or something.
So 2/3 of Apple sales come from outside the US. The plan has always been to leverage that. Unfortunately, the past 12 months have been awful internationally. And Tim Cook even said that instead of 2% this quarter, it would have been 8% if not for FX, you know, foreign exchange numbers. Exactly. So Apple's going to need a plan B. They're not going to be able to rely on China, Hong Kong. They're going to need, you know, new growth. So hopefully that's innovation. We'll see.
Did they give any insight into where that innovation will go, such as VR, virtual reality?
So today, Tim Cook, for the first time, was, you know, kind of excited about VR. He said that it's interesting. He said it's not a fad, and he said it shows promise. But typical Apple, you know, we're not going to know it until the day they're ready to release it, and that's kind of frustrating. So.
You know why iPhone sales so slow? Because it's no longer cool, because I got my first one last year. I gave up my BlackBerry for an iPhone, first time ever.
Yeah.
Bad time.
And now it's really uncool.
Yeah, he really killed it.
On.
But hopefully they'll change it in a few months.
And he'll be lagging behind, don't worry about it.
I think I killed him. Fritz.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for following the memo about the red.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Republican debate. Okay, oil prices are back over $30 a barrel. Investors in the